Hey YouTube, Maddie's Daddy 12, Team JMT, coming to you guys with the latest installment of Understanding Stun. This episode is entitled RGK's Stun. So GKs, Gravekeepers, they came onto the scene, really burst onto the scene in Atlanta at the YCS there, where Frazier Smith topped with a Gravekeepers deck, and has just really been wrecking regionals ever since. As soon as they came out, they got labeled anti-meta. So the first question you have to ask, are anti-meta decks stun decks? And to that, I have to say no. An anti-meta deck is a deck that's built to counter the meta. Kind of like right now in the OCG, there's a really popular Plant Chaos deck that is really built around just countering 6 Sams, which are wrecking over there right now. So that's an anti-meta deck over there, but it's not a stun deck. I really feel that anti-meta decks play different than a stun deck. There's a lot more methodical control base when you're playing a stun deck than there is in just an anti-meta build. And Gravekeepers, we know that they build off of the effect of Necro Valley, which gives them all plus 500 attack and defense, and then it limits the action from the graveyard. So let's start with that. That affects the meta quite a bit, just because so many decks in the meta revolve around the graveyard and revolve around what they can and can't do with the monsters and cards in the graveyard. Immediately, you have a problematic card for a lot of decks, which in my past videos is what I've told you need out of your cards when playing stun. Next, we'll get into the monster lineup. One of the oldest but best Gravekeepers is Gravekeeper Spy. 1200 attack, 2000 defense. It's a flip effect monster. When it's flipped, you can special summon another one. Just a huge butt on this card. Just a great defense card. You set it out there, it's 2 grand D. So an opponent's got to work to get around it. On top of that, it gives you a floater in the monster that it summons, an immediate +1. And then with Necro Valley on the field, it's a 2500 defense, which is even harder for your opponent to work around. So, yeah, once again, one of the great monsters. The beat stick of the deck, Gravekeeper's Assailant. Whenever Necro Valley's on the field, it changes the position of one face-up monster on the field. Wonderful card to use whenever you're playing against a Frog Monarch or a Dandy Warrior or Plant Synchro, and you attack and turn their token to attack position, or turn their Treeborn Frog to attack position. One thing to remember about this card is you don't have to turn the monster you attacked to attack position. I can attack with this card, turn another monster to attack position, and then attack it with my Gravekeeper Spy. So that's always something to keep in mind. Next, some of the most recent support for Gravekeepers. Gravekeeper's Descendant. You pop another Gravekeeper monster to destroy one card on your opponent's side of the field. This is a great card to use as a floater from Gravekeeper Spy. Or to use the floater that you gain from Gravekeeper Spy. Also, another card that's really great to use with that is Gravekeeper's Recruiter. The last monster I want to talk about. This monster is just so good. You get these two on the field together. You pop Recruiter to destroy one of their monsters, which gives you a 1-for-1. Your Recruiter destroys one of their monsters or cards. Then Recruiter activates, and you're able to search out Commandant or Assailant or whatever you need at the time. And just gives you an immediate plus out of that. So, yeah, this guy is just so good. Speeded up the deck just so much. Makes this deck so much better. So what I look at when I look at these cards, especially just these 4, not including the other Gravekeeper's monsters that you can mix into this, these are all problematic monsters for your opponent. This guy is an immediate 1-for-1 trade-off. This guy is a big problematic defense monster. This guy is an amazing beater. This guy is a floater at best, and is a 1200, 1700 beat stick at worst. All problematic monsters for your opponent. Whenever I look at a stun deck, when I'm putting together a stun deck, these are the kind of monsters that I look for. Granted, this guy does not do what Thunder King will do for me. This guy does not do what Doom Cow would do for me. But these cards synergy together cause so many problems for my opponent that I don't need a Doom Cow. I don't need a Thunder King. These monsters do their job in order to allow the entire deck to do their job. Next, one of the things that I talked about in my last video was there's very, very few monsters or cards in general in stun that give you immediate pluses. This deck is one of the few decks that has that. First, you have almost the boss monster of this deck in Royal Tribute. A first turn Royal Tribute is just so devastating to your opponent. You eliminate just so many monsters out of their hands. And once again, you can play around that. You can set your entire field, play Royal Tribute. You get to see their hand and eliminate their monsters. Another reason why I consider playing Mind Crush in this deck, because I play 3 Royal Tribute. But you can eliminate 2 to 3, maybe even 4 monsters with this, and that gives you a +2, 3, or 4. Whatever may happen. So an immediate plus that you can gain from that card. Next, Gravekeeper Still A. An immediate +1. I play it from my hand. I get 2 monsters from the graveyard back to my hand. So an immediate +1, which allows you to reuse your Gravekeeper Spies, your Recruiters, mainly those. Gets Descendants and Assailants back at key points when you'll need them. Once again, just major synergy with the entire deck. So is the question that we asked at the beginning of this video was, are Gravekeepers stun? When you take the aspects of the cards that I've talked about here and add them to the trap lineup that will be 2 Solemn Warning, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 to 3 Deep Prison, Mirror Force, all the different stun style traps and the full trap lineup that they would have, I really feel like, yes, Gravekeepers are a stun deck. Like I said before, granted, the monsters aren't problematic monsters to affect the meta, but they have such synergy that it causes so many problems for your opponent. So, I appreciate it, guys. Make sure you subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.